Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video we're going to break down some of the best tips and tricks for using the Disney World multi-pass, single pass, lightning lane, essentially some of the best, I would say, really beginner tips and tricks to get you started on your next Walt Disney World vacation. So if you are in the process of planning that Disney trip, just be sure to stick around until the end of this video. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down the best beginner tips and tricks for using the Disney World multi-pass, single pass, and essentially lightning lane, which is really what these two tie into. So we just recently did a video on what is the Disney World lightning lane. This is kind of the follow-up video on, hey, here are some of the best tips and tricks to get you started, or amateur tips and tricks to get you started on your next Disney World vacation. So let's jump right in and let's start with probably the most basic, but one of the most important, and that is going to be download and make sure that you have the latest version of the My Disney Experience app. Of course, a lot of families might come every couple years to Walt Disney World, or maybe this is your once in a lifetime trip. You want to just make sure you do have the most recent and up-to-date app, as that is what you need in order to make your multi-pass and single pass selections. Also, make sure that your Disney World hotel reservation is linked if you didn't purchase a Disney World vacation package, which will do both at the same time. And then also you have everyone who you're going to be making multi-pass selections for linked to your My Disney Experience app. And if you're making them 7 days in advance, you'll see you need to make sure whoever's staying in the hotel rooms is linked to that hotel reservation and then linked to your app, because it all ties in together. And on top of that, make sure you do have an active credit card on file, because you will have to purchase the Disney World multi-pass and single passes. You will find the attractions in the tip board part of the app, and under My Day will show you the plans for that specific day. You can also go to your lightning lane passes in the lightning lane section of the app, and once you make your selections, you'll see all of this information under future plans. So when it comes to actually making the multi-pass or single pass, don't forget that for hotel guests, you do have an advantage here. And so for hotel guests, you can actually make your selection starting 7 days prior to your check-in date. And this is going to be for the entirety of your trip, up to 14 days. So, you'll see one of the tips and tricks, really similar to the dining, is you can kind of game the system, and you want to make the most popular ride selections as far out as possible. So if you have a 7-day vacation, and you'll see at that 7-day prior to your check-in, you're pretty much going to have at that point a 14-day window. You can book out the next 2 weeks. You want to make, let's say, the most popular rides, which are pretty much always going to be Slinky Dog Dash over at Hollywood Studios, Frozen and Remy's over at Epcot, and then we have Peter Pan, Big Thunder Mountain, Tiana's over at Magic Kingdom. These rides you want to push out as far as possible, because the window is not going to be open for everyone that far out. Tying into the next tip and trick is, if you aren't staying in an official Disney World hotel, or if you are an international traveler, even if you're staying in a Disney World hotel, international travelers and guests with regular theme park tickets do have access to make their multi-pass or single pass selection 3 days prior to your first date in the park, and then that would be essentially open for your entire ticket length. So it's the same concept. If you have a 7-day ticket, 3 days prior to your first day in the park, you'd be able to make selections for that entire 7-day window. From a budgeting standpoint, if you're trying to get an idea, let's say you're traveling, in 6 months, the way that the pricing works is it's not as transparent as Universal Orlando, unfortunately. However, Disney does at least have the prices up for like the next 14 days. So you can pretty much get an idea of where, the multi-pass or single pass pricing will be as you get closer. It's better than the Disney Genie, which was the same day. You wouldn't know till the morning of. But I would say on average, I would budget anywhere between $17 to $35 per person per day. If you're visiting during some of the busier times of year, it could potentially go up. Last year, I believe the highest peak was $39 per person per day, but pricing is definitely date and park based. So just make sure that you understand the way that that works. We will have more videos coming out. So if you are in the process of planning that Disney trip, like I said, and it seems like you do need more information just like this, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we have a lot more similar videos coming out in the coming weeks. So now over to the next tip and trick, and this is another very important one, and that is different from the previous Disney Genie, and something you do need to understand moving forward is from a pricing standpoint. If you're only visiting one park for the day, it's pretty simple. You'll be able to see Disney will have specific pricing for each of the Disney World parks. They'll have multi-pass pricing or single pass pricing for Hollywood Studios or the ride at Hollywood Studios over at Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom. This is different. Even if you plan to park hop, the only thing you have to pay for, or the way that the pricing would work, is it's based on the park you plan to start at. So if you plan to start at Animal Kingdom, and let's say the multi-pass is $17 for the day over there, you can take advantage of the $17. Maybe it's cheaper than Magic Kingdom, which is at $25. But then once you get on your 3 rides, or once you go over to that park and you scan into the first ride, you can then start making your next selection for the Magic Kingdom park. Another really important tip and trick is make sure when you're going to make these multi-pass or single pass selections that you cancel any advanced dining reservations or any magical extras that you do not plan to use. The app will not let you overlap these things with attraction time slots, and this is important. Let's say that one of the old tips and tricks for dining was to just grab as many dining reservations as you needed, and then you'd cancel them as you got closer to your trip, the ones that you didn't plan to use. Well, this definitely kind of throws a wrench in that. You need to make sure that you cancel any of those unused dining reservations, because if you have 2 lunch reservations, let's say one at 1 o'clock but one at 2 o'clock, and you go to make a lightning lane selection, they will not allow you to make it now between 1 to 3. So that's a huge disadvantage. You don't want to have anything on your Disney World app that you do not plan to use. It's just going to make it difficult to make the best, or to get the most optimal times for your rides. And the other important thing too is if you are purchasing, let's say, one of the single passes, you can purchase up to 2 single passes per day. The only park that you will be able to purchase 2 at the same park at the time of the recording of this video anyway is Magic Kingdom. So if you plan to get 2 single passes, for the most part, you typically will have to park hop, but guests can hold 3 multi-pass and up to 2 single passes to start their park day. Another great tip and trick at this point in time is if you don't like the time slot that is available, still choose that attraction if there's not like a better choice out there. And the reason being is you can continue to try to modify your time throughout the day, and time slots can sometimes open up as other guests are doing the same thing. They're changing their plans. You can potentially try to move a ride that you had up to a better time or push it a little bit further back based upon availability. So this is better than not having the ride at all and just waiting for that preferred time slot. It's very easy to change the time slots now compared to the old new Genie Plus. The way you'll do this is you can modify the time frame of a current attraction selection at any time. Click on the attraction, then click on modify, and then you can search new times before canceling the current time you have booked, which again is really such a better way to do things compared to the old system. And this is the other important thing too, is that's the reason why we say make sure that you just have 3 pre-booked going into your day, because you can change selections and modify times up until the day of your park visit. But it's important that you do want to make those changes, or you want to modify any of the attractions, up until the day of your park visit, because once you get to the day of, until you scan into that first ride, you will only be able to modify the time of your 3 selections. Which leads me into my next tip and trick. Do not cancel any of the attractions in your 3 pre-booked selections the day of your visit before you get to the theme park. The reason being is you will not be able to choose another one to replace it, and you'll start the day essentially with 1 less attraction, which doesn't give you a very big advantage. So over to the next tip and trick. Once you scan into your first selection, you can now select any other experience in any other park, like we said, and from any other tier. So either tier 1 or tier 2. If you're unsure what the tiers, just be sure to go watch our basics video on the Disney Lightning Lane. And then my other honest opinion is if you really are trying to get the most out of it, I would try to scan into your first attraction as close to the beginning of your return window as possible, rather than towards the end of it. And speaking of the return window, you do have an entire hour to scan into your selection. And it's important to note that if you miss your window and decide to not scan into it, it's very possible that you will not be able to use it if you show up a little bit later. Again, this is one of those things that you'll read something different online. I would say just have the mindset of if you miss that hour window, you will not be able to use that lightning lane. Another great tip and trick is if you purchase multi-pass and single pass at the same time, everyone that you're purchasing the multi-pass for will also need a single pass. So if let's say that everyone wants to join in on the Disney World multi-pass, which allows you to skip, like pre-book 3 rides and then have access to a bunch of other rides after that, but you know that not everyone wants to, let's say, use the single pass on Tron over at Magic Kingdom, purchase those separately, because then that will allow you to purchase, everyone will get the multi-pass, but only certain people will get the single pass. If you combine them, you will not have that flexibility. All right, over to the next one. Don't forget, when you're park hopping, you will still be able to hold attractions for more than one park at a time. We have spoken about this a couple of different times. And then last but not least, even if you're utilizing the rider switch, which is baby swap, all guests planning on riding the attraction must purchase the Disney World multi-pass or the Disney World single pass. You still have to make those selections for everyone, and then you'll figure out the baby swap once you get over to those attractions. But that is it, everyone. That's essentially the basics. This is the beginning tips and tricks video for the Disney World multi-pass, the Disney World single pass. I really hope that you found this video helpful. And if you are in the process of planning a Disney World trip and it does seem like you need more videos like this, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way till the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use on our website. And that promo code is going to be YouTube25 to grab an extra $25 off your next theme park vacation. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.